My name is Lyraelle, chronicler of the unseen. For cycles, our mission had been one of quiet listening, of sifting through the echoes of the dead for answers. But the moment we took the secret of the Nexus from the Penumbra Market, we were no longer silent. We were a shout in the darkness, and the hunter had turned in our direction. Our escape was a frantic, desperate flight. The Legion scout ship was a relentless predator on our trail, its systems far superior to our small, repurposed vessel. Kalen piloted the Seed Seeker with a desperate brilliance, weaving through asteroid fields and the gravity wells of dead moons. On the command deck, the silence of our severed weave was a blessing, allowing for the clear, sharp communication of a crew pushed to its absolute limit. Their weapon lock is getting stronger. Oren's voice was tight with strain, his hands a blur across his console as he deployed one futile decoy after another. They're anticipating our every move. It's like they're learning. They are learning, I said, the curator's words echoing in my mind. They consume civilizations and absorb their knowledge. The Legion ship was not just faster. It was smarter. It was hurting us, cutting off our escape routes, forcing us towards a region of space known on the star charts as the Wreckage Belt, a chaotic, violent nebula filled with the shattered remains of ancient fleets and gravitational anomalies. A place ships went to die. It was a final, desperate gamble. Take us in, Kalen, I commanded. Lose them in the chaos. With a lurch that rattled the ship to its core, we plunged into the wreckage belt. It was a maelstrom of twisting metal and fractured asteroids. Alarm screamed as Kalen navigated the treacherous currents, the Legion ship still close behind. He pushed our living ship harder than it was ever meant to be pushed. We felt a final, sickening shudder as our main power conduit overloaded, and then silence. We were adrift, powerless, hidden in the shadow of a colossal, dead warship from a forgotten age. We had lost our pursuer, but we were now just another piece of wreckage in a field of ghosts. As we floated in the dark, trying to coax life back into our dead systems, a new shadow fell over us. It was a ship, but of a design so chaotic and asymmetrical it looked like a dozen different vessels hammered into one. It had decloaked directly in front of us. It was a scavenger ship. Before we could react, a tractor beam locked onto us, pulling our small, wounded vessel into its cavernous hangar bay. We had escaped the hunter, only to be caught in a scavenger's net. The beings that entered our ship were unlike any I had seen. They were the Gyllel, a race of tall, insectoid beings with 4 arms, their chitinous bodies a patchwork of organic material and scavenged cybernetics. They moved with a practical, clicking grace. Their leader, a being whose cybernetics were more ornate than the others, approached us. Its synthesized voice was a low, buzzing hum. A living ship, it said, its multifaceted eyes scanning the interior of our vessel with an appraiser's gaze. A rare find in the wreckage belt. My name is the foreman. Your ship is now the property of the Gyllel Collective. Your lives are negotiable. We are not explorers, I said, stepping forward, my voice steady despite the fear. We are fugitives. The ship that was hunting us, a vessel of the Void Legion, is still out there. It will return. The mention of the Legion made the foreman pause. A series of rapid clicks echoed between it and its crew. The harvesters, the foreman buzzed, a flicker of something akin to distaste in its synthesized voice. They are bad for business. They leave nothing behind to salvage. This was our opening. I told them everything. About our lost world, about our mission to find the Nexus, about the data we carried. Kalen stood beside me, his hand never far from his sidearm, his distrust of these opportunistic beings a palpable force. But I knew we had to gamble. The foreman listened, its head tilted. It led us to their base, a massive, hollowed-out asteroid at the center of the wreckage belt, a thriving, chaotic city of scavenged technology. In its central workshop, it made us an offer. The harvesters are a plague, it said. We have no interest in your war. But a wounded legion is good for our business. We have the technology to repair your ship, to make it better, faster. We can give you a stealth drive, salvaged from a fallen empire. A way to be truly unseen.
Another trend I've been seeing floating around Instagram so much is getting felt pins and then just drawing on a plate, and for some reason it doesn't like stick to the plate and
In exchange for what? Kalen asked, his voice sharp. The foreman pointed a metallic claw towards a large, shrouded object in the corner of the workshop. We, too, are collectors. We salvaged that from a dead world on the edge of this belt, years ago. It is a piece of their technology, but its core is psychic. Our tools cannot open it. Our minds cannot read it. You, it said, looking directly at me, Ken, you will extract the data from its core for us. In exchange, we will give you back your ship and the means to disappear. That is the deal. They unveiled the object. It was a fractured, dark crystalline shard, at least 2 meters tall, humming with the same cold, predatory energy as the pod on our Arkansas. It was a piece of a Nexus relay. To touch it again, to invite that void into my mind, was a terrifying thought. But we had no choice. I agreed. Oren and I worked with the Lyraelle technicians. They were master mechanics, their understanding of technology vast and intuitive. They respected our living ship, treating it not as a machine, but as a wounded creature, skillfully weaving their salvaged, superior technology into its biological systems. As they worked, I prepared for my own task. I entered a shielded chamber with the Nexus shard. The foreman watched from an observation window. I took a deep breath, held my memory crystal, and touched the cold, dark surface. The void rushed in. It was a storm of harvested memories, of screaming, dying worlds. But this time, I was not just a victim. I was an intruder, a thief. I focused my mind, using my own crystal as a key, a scalpel to slice through the Legion's psychic defenses. I wasn't just feeling the memories, I was reading the code beneath them. I was performing an anatomy on the enemy's soul. And I found it, a stream of data, hidden beneath the chaos. It was a list of psychic frequencies, the specific carrier waves the Legion used to communicate between their relays and the central nexus. It was the key to everything. The third way. We didn't need to destroy the nexus with a superweapon. We just needed to disrupt its song. As I downloaded the data into my own crystal, I fulfilled my promise to the foreman, allowing a stream of the shard surface data, non-critical information about harvested worlds, to flow to their systems. The bargain was complete. We left the Lyraelle collective 2 cycles later. The Seed Seeker was transformed. It was faster, stronger, and now equipped with a drive that could render us almost invisible. The foreman met us at the hangar bay as we prepared to leave. The data you provided was illuminating. It buzzed. The Harvesters are an old and terrible story. Your people were not the first to seek this path, Veridian. It gestured to a piece of salvaged metal on a nearby table, etched with familiar, glowing blue glyphs. The language of the architects. The first architects who built the Legion, they also built its cage. The Nexus is a lock. The key is not a destination. It is the song you must sing to open it. I looked down at the memory crystal in my hand. The song of my world. The key. We departed from the wreckage belt, our new mission clear. We now had the frequencies, the notes to the enemy's song. And we had the key to unlock the cage. We are no longer just fugitives. We are saboteurs. We are the ghost in their machine, the dissonant note in their symphony of silence. We are the story they never learned, the one that will now be their undoing.
Another huge trend I've been seeing on Instagram recently is using food dye on water slimes. And I actually had a really thick water slime. I wish I didn't. I wish it was really, really thin, just because it would have been cool to see what would have happened. But when I was adding this, I just found I added a bit too much food dye. I think if I was doing this again, firstly, I wouldn't add it to a really thick slime, and I'd also use one that was like much less pigmented in the food colorings, because it just came out looking like a swamp. So typically I went in with my little Pearl coloring again, and this turned out so pretty. The color doesn't show how beautiful it is. It looked like a super really nice emerald. I actually just kept this to play with it. Normally I throw away jiggly slimes, but this was so beautiful, and I'm really enjoying just putting my hand in there and seeing what it looks like. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you next week.